What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what's going on with Dogecoin and the best stocks to watch for this week. We have some huge news with Dogecoin and Elon Musk on SNL. We have oil news and inflation news. And at the end of the video, we have a $3.3 million options trade that expires this Friday. So make sure to stick around for that. But Tom, let's get right into today's video.
Yeah, definitely. We all know that Elon Musk was talking last night on SNL about Dogecoin, and he was the host. And honestly, I didn't think it was too bad of an episode. My favorite part was obviously like the Mario skit and then the monologue at the beginning. But overall, he didn't really talk. He didn't talk negatively about crypto really at all, or Doge, and still Doge really fell off. I mean, falling off about 29.5%, according to CNBC, dropping to 49 cents at the lows. We can see this morning on Sunday hit 44 cents, 42 cents at the bottom. So pretty crazy over the past couple of days, dropping from 70 cents like right at the beginning of the episode. And then now we're at like 42 cents. So that's just a huge drop. I mean, this was a lackluster event. It's too bad the news did not send Doge flying. But as far as the Robinhood situation, Robinhood actually experienced an outage during SNL, and it really stopped some people from selling their cryptos, especially like Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff like that. But still, with this situation, I mean, should we really expect anything more from Robinhood? It seems like every situation that they have that creates a lot of volume in the market always makes Robinhood crash or they fail in some type of way. So I'm not too surprised there. But man, I can't believe that Doge fell off as much as it did. I guess it was just a little bit overhyped.
Yeah, so I mean, Elon did a pretty good job. I thought it was a pretty good show overall, but it just looks like it was way too overhyped, and it just sucks to hear that. Oh, Robinhood had an outage again. Like anytime, like you said, Tom, there's like a major market event, Robinhood is crashing, and it sucks. But I just think that's interesting, like how they continue to have these outages, and then they're looking to IPO pretty soon too. So overall, that's the recap with Doge. It did kind of tank off, and it seems like the main thing was just the event was overhyped. But Tom, what's going on in the stock market? I know we have the S&P at all-time highs.
Yeah, the S&P 500 is at all-time highs, hitting 422.82 on Friday, which was an amazing move. The market really recovered back up last week, which was amazing. And, with the market at all-time highs, we do have some data coming out this week with inflation. And this is the CPI data that comes out on Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And, we've been hearing a lot about inflation going up, and the proof will be in that data coming out this week. But hopefully it goes well, or else the markets might start to fall back down. But I really like how we're at all-time highs, even though that there's been rumors of like the inflation rising. And also, obviously, we've had like Powell talking about inflation as well going up over the next few months, and the Fed will try to manage it as best as they can. But overall, it's nice to hear that the market's at all-time highs. We'll just watch out. CPI data comes out this week. It might have some type of effect on the market, especially with all the inflation talks going on.
Gotcha. So, Tom, let's check out ARKK. So this is the ARK, their flagship ETF. And it's like a good, I don't want to say like an index, but like it's a good reference to look at like growth stocks. ARK is holding a lot of growth stocks, and they're down around 30% from their high. So it just shows that there's a pretty big divergence in the market right now. We have the S&P and we have the Dow at all-time highs, but we're seeing a lot of growth stocks significantly off their highs. And a lot of these companies are reporting amazing earnings, but for the past 2 weeks, it's just been horrible for just a lot of stocks right now. So just be on the lookout for like some of these stocks to hopefully rebound. Like Enphase is one of them. They got beaten down big time last week. I'm looking for a bounce with Enphase. You could even say like NIO, Palantir, CCIV, Redfin. I mean, they already popped like 8.5% on Friday, but I think I really wouldn't be surprised if we do see a bounce with growth stocks this week, because a lot of them did report pretty good earnings.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those scenarios where the earnings are so well, but we just had to have like a short-term pullback. And it's just one of those things that happen sometimes. But guys, that should show you that since the earnings are still good, it's showing that the potential is still there for the future. So it's not like, we're just going to see like Apple, Microsoft, and some of these great companies that reported great earnings. Like they're not just going to tank off and die, over the next couple of years, or even if they do, they're only going to go down a little bit. It's not like, Apple's gonna like go out of business or anything, obviously. But sometimes these articles make the market sound pretty scary, even though, like, for example, Apple only fell from like 145 to 120, but people were acting like, Apple was gonna like fall to the $80 level or something like that. Some people really freak out in some of those articles, like on CNBC and like investing.com and stuff. Like some of those analysts, they really give some bold predictions, I think, on some of these.
For sure. And then, Tom, what's going on with oil right now? I saw some pretty interesting articles over the weekend.
Yeah, oil is starting to almost double top here at 67.50 on the daily chart, but this is pretty interesting. The top US fuel pipeline operator, Colonial Pipeline, has shut down its entire network without saying when it would reopen after a cyber attack involving ransomware on Friday. And then CNBC was reporting this article, but Colonial is the main source of gasoline for the East Coast and also serves some of the largest US airports. And the incident has highlighted how vulnerable U.S. energy is to hackers. And we've talked about this quite a bit, where we've seen some hackers kind of take other things out in the past, kind of like some financial things and stuff like that. But a prolonged outage of this network could trigger price increases at gasoline pumps ahead of the peak summer driving season. And CNBC says that this is a potential blow to U.S. consumers and the economy as pandemic restrictions are eased. So we might see another rise in gasoline prices, even though oil is starting to slightly dip down over the past few days. I think, obviously this news is not good for the gasoline, for the price of gasoline. But overall, I mean, pretty crazy to hear how more hackers are kind of getting into the U.S. infrastructure. And they're kind of like really addressing this one. And they might start to really look at like some of these like cybersecurity companies or like just different security companies to try to like help protect the grid or protect the infrastructure a little bit more. So I wonder if this could bring some good catalysts out of those stocks.
Yeah, I'll definitely have my eyes on oil futures when they open up in a couple hours. But good news there. And let's get right into the momentum plays in the member of the day. So today's member of the day is I'm Fierce 13. Thank you so much for all of the great comments on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate it. And really, thank you so much. But let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Boeing to the upside.
Yep. And with Boeing, go ahead and make them break above 236. And this was a very strong close on Friday.
All right. And then we have X also to the upside.
Man, steel and lumber just doesn't stop rising, but make them rise above 28.
All right. And then we have WDC also to the upside.
WDC, I like this double top over here. Make them break above 77 or
All
72,
right.
I should say. Sorry.
Sounds good. Well, we are eyeing these plays for potential day trades only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But Tom, before we get into the $3.3 million trade for this week, I want to check out lumber prices. So slash LBS, they just keep going up. It's just like every single day they go higher and higher and higher. They're just exploding. It looks like Home Depot stock is still exploding. LOW is still exploding, which is lows. But I mean, this is just crazy. It's just like every single day the move is. It's just like an exponential like chart, you can say. Like it's just going up more and more and more every single day.
Yeah, nobody would have expected this, I don't think, quite a few months ago out of lumber. And it's just insane. Like we've seen lumber going up so much. It's helping stocks like Home Depot and Lowe's. Like you mentioned, it's also making houses, especially new houses being built, cost quite a lot more. And I think it's really like affecting the housing market. I've said that quite a bit, but hopefully it can start to maybe consolidate and start to come back down just for like a bubble's sake, because it almost seems like we're getting into a little bit of like bubble territory here out of like lumber. Even if we go look at gasoline, which is like slash RB, I mean that's up quite a bit over the past year. Like $1.20 at the lows, now being at like $2.18, so almost $2.20. So it's just I don't know why we're seeing these commodities really start to fly up like we are, but pretty insane out of lumber. And honestly, expect over the next few months possibly for this to maybe come back down. But for the shorter term, I mean, who knows where the top is here?
Yep, no one can call it a top. I know a lot of like analysts are saying this has to do with inflation. So, we'll see what happens. But Home Depot stock has just been exploding. Same with Lowe's, which is LOW. But let's get right into that $3.3 million options trade for this Friday. And we are looking at Apple, and we are looking at the 132 strike calls that expire this Friday, May 14th. So looking at Apple's chart, it has potential. You know what I mean? Like it held its ground on Friday. It gapped up a ton on Friday morning, and it kind of sold off into open. But I can definitely see the smart money longing these calls. We have a lot of upwards momentum in the market in general. We have the S&P and the Dow at all-time highs, and Apple's holding its ground. What do you think?
Yeah, I think 132 is going to pose as a pretty good resistance in the shorter term on this. And when I say short term, I probably mean Monday morning. And then we might break above that sometime Monday morning or later on Monday. But overall, I mean, Apple looks pretty good to the upside. I really like how it hit 132 in pre-market on Friday and exactly hit 132 even just about, and then came right down off of that. So I like how that's the high there. And it does look like a nice bullish setup. Is trading above the 100, the 200, and the 300 SMAs. It looks like it's going to try to pass the 500 SMA here also. So off of technicals, looks pretty good. If we go to Apple on the daily, it also looks pretty decent. I know that that's a red candle there, but you can see it was still higher like than the candle on Thursday. So it's almost like even though that's posted a red candle, it was still a little bit higher, which is good to see. So hopefully we can see another little pop out of Apple since it stayed above $130. I would really like to see it. And honestly, like Apple and all those other stocks like Microsoft and others that fell on earnings, I would kind of expect them to kind of slowly but steadily go back up. Like I'm not saying Apple's going to fly to 135 Monday morning or anything, but I think that it could be a pretty good trade up to above 132, especially with this unusual option. I really like these calls, and I think it's definitely going to have me looking at Apple for sure.
All right, so let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. And we have Hunter saying, growth stocks don't stop ungrowing. Yeah, I mean, that's been the story of like the past couple months. Like you look at Enphase, Neo, Palantir, Redfin, all a bunch of stocks like that. Just look at the ARK ETF. That'll give you a good example, because I know that they hold a lot of growth stocks. But I'm really looking at Enphase this week. I sold a lot of puts on it last week, and unfortunately, or I guess you could say fortunately, I did not get assigned. I really wouldn't mind being assigned shares, but I sold puts on it, and I sold it like the 120 puts, and it closed above that on Friday, so I didn't get assigned. But either way, I'm really looking for a rebound out of them. I really think they're in a great sector for the long term, and I think they're a great company, and they're bouncing off a pretty big support level right now at 120. I'm kind of eyeing some call options for this week.
Yeah, there's good plays out of all these stocks like ENPH, like you said, NIO, Redfin. They're all on support. So we have like NIO right at the 35 support. Redfin, they're at, let's see, Redfin fell off quite a bit, but they were at the 60 support till they broke it. We have PLTR at the 20 support, just falling just barely below the 20 support. So it's definitely going to be an interesting week. Like Palantir here is kind of falling below their support. So I would kind of think that Palantir is going to keep going down, but we're going to have to see what happens. I mean, they do have earnings coming up as well. So there's going to be a few catalysts. And then also that inflation data this week, if that affects the market, that could also affect some of these growth stocks. And honestly, some of my favorite ones are like Palantir. RUN has done pretty well the past few days, except it did get hit pretty big on Friday. But I do like RUN as well. That's one of my favorites. And then also one that's not as much of a growth stock that I like is also AMD. I mean, honestly, AMD under $80, I think is just an amazing time to pick up shares, especially like with the chip shortage and everything they do. I think under 80 on AMD is just amazing.
Sounds great. With the next question, we have Guy saying, what happened to Penn? PENN. They had awesome earnings and guidance, but got smashed. So let's check it out. I mean, really, this has just been like the name of the. This has just been like the top. You could say this about every stock, is what I'm trying to say. Like they report great earnings and then they just get smashed. Look at Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, especially Apple. They reported amazing earnings and then they fell off a cliff. It seems like every stock has been doing this for like the past month or so, and really the way I look at it is a buying opportunity. Of course, no one can catch the bottom, but if a company's reporting solid earnings and their stock falls, like in my opinion, that's a good deal, and I'm just going to take advantage of it. And it would just be like a long-term trade / outlook for me. Like I know DraftKings reported some pretty good numbers, Apple did, so I just like them for the long term, and I'm going to take advantage of this dip, and just hold it for the long term.
Yeah, wow. And once you said DraftKings, I switched over to their chart and they're down quite a bit, over 6% to the downside on Friday, really falling below $50, making some really good opportunities, I think, for the future. And man, as these states start to legalize sports betting, it's just looking better and better out of DraftKings here at these lower levels. And Mike, I know I've been telling you, I hope that they fall just so I could grab more shares. And it looks like they're giving me the good opportunity here.
I know. And then we have Jesse saying, seriously, what's up with DraftKings? Why would it continue to drop? So I was actually listening to like CNBC the other day, and their DraftKings CEO hopped on CNBC, and then the guy's like, what's going on with your stock? You reported great earnings, and then the CEO's like, sometimes like no one can explain what happens in the market. So I really like DraftKings for the long term, and they reported great earnings and they're tanking off. So I like them for the long term even more now, and I'm just going to take advantage of this dip to buy and hold shares for the long term.
Yeah, and one thing that worries me about DraftKings, and it doesn't really worry me, but this might be another catalyst as of why they're going down, is that over the winter we saw like we had hockey going on, we had football going on, we even had like basketball starting and stuff like that. But now it seems like the only things going on are really like the NBA, golf, and baseball. So I wonder if that can kind of affect DraftKings a little bit. I know that the NBA finals might be coming up soon, so maybe that'll help DraftKings a little bit, but I wonder if it just kind of getting into the middle of summer, getting a little boring with the sports is kind of hurting them as well.
Yeah, maybe. Personally, I just think it's just like the big sell off with all of the growth stocks in general. But then we have
Yeah.
Piper saying, thanks, guys. I bought $1,000 of Dogecoin at 8 cents and then sold it at 25 cents. Well, I mean, that's still an amazing return. You know what I mean? No one can catch the top, but that's an amazing return. And then Piper said, what are your thoughts on SKLZ for the next few weeks? So, SKLZ, I know ARK was buying into them recently. I think they're good. I mean, I don't think they're an A plus setup. I think they're pretty good at these levels. I can definitely see a bounce back up. What do you think?
I think it's a great time to buy. Like Mike said, it's a good time down here at these levels like supports. You're getting a pretty low price. Highs at 46, now it's at 15. You can easily get almost, let's see, 300% out of it. So I think it would be a pretty good trade here. But overall, I will say that the thing I like about it is that you could just average in shares here. Obviously it could trade sideways for a couple months or a couple weeks until it goes up again. We never know. Like, for example, like down here a while ago, a couple years ago, you can see how it traded between like $9 and $12 for quite a few months until it finally broke out. And just don't be surprised if you see it go sideways or something like that over the next few weeks. But overall, kind of like what Ark and Kathy Wood's doing, I would just average into shares and just grab some shares down here really low and hold for the longer term and maybe have a price target of like $40 or $45.
All right. And then we have Sean saying a bunch of great words, saying you guys have been killing it. Thank you so much for the show. So thank you so much, Sean, for that awesome comment. But then he said, my beloved workhorse is killing me. Any thoughts on the next 2 to 5 weeks with got a variety of expiration? So workhorse, let's check it out, Tom. I mean, unfortunately, this stock has been getting smashed over the past couple months. So it's not good. They do have earnings soon. Hopefully we can see a bounce out of that. But honestly, I mean, the setup's looking really scary. IV is starting to rise a little bit, which can be good if you're holding shares, because maybe we might see like a big pop on earnings. But I don't know. The earnings season has been really rough. Hopefully they report great news on earnings. But besides that, it's looking a little rough. They do have a pretty strong support at $10. Hopefully we can hold above this level. I know we're kind of falling below it right now.
We really broke below that $12 resistance. And whenever that happened, it just started not looking good for Workhorse anymore. And it just fell off all the way down to like 964 right now. Like Mike said, they have earnings though. So hopefully they can get a good pop out of that. Also, the intraday setup looks pretty decent. Maybe we'll see a pretty decent move to the upside. I mean, over the past couple trading days, looks like we have a double bottom around $9.40. So maybe if we hold that, we can kind of go back up here. But overall, I mean, that daily chart just does not look good since we fell below that $12 support.
Yeah, so it looks a little rough. I hope it does pop up for you though. But Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, anything you're watching for this week?
Yeah, that gasoline company shutting down, I think is going to be a pretty interesting to see. If we look at /RB, which is gasoline futures, like I talked about earlier, they're up quite a bit. So we might see a pop out of like Exxon and British Petroleum. So XOM and BP. Looks like XOM has been doing pretty good the past few weeks. If they can break like the high of 62.55. I think it would be amazing. British Petroleum also in a pretty good setup, make them break above 27. But if these stocks do it, I think it'll be an amazing move, especially with gasoline prices going up. And then also Boeing is looking awesome on the daily chart, all the way down around the 230 support and hitting off the 100 SMA and holding it very well with a nice green candle off the daily chart. So if we see Boeing move solidly back above $240, I think it'll be a pretty good setup, pretty good move for the next couple of weeks as Boeing goes back up maybe to 270 to 280, especially if these airlines start to reopen and start buying more Boeing planes again. It'll be fantastic. So just watch out for this week. I think Boeing and gasoline type of stocks will be the ones to go for.
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing that. And guys, on a side note, a family emergency came up for me. So Tom and I will not be streaming tomorrow and probably not until like Thursday or Friday this week. Like I said, unfortunately, a family emergency came up. So we will not be streaming for the first couple days this week. We will give you more updates as the week goes on. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to text STOCKED UP to 39970 for market updates. And don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But other than that, thanks for watching.